realize the concerns I have, and I think average Americans would also have, about the 300,000 children who've been placed with sponsors by the Biden administration's HHS, Health and Human Services, or Office of Refugee Relocation. The New York Times did an investigative piece recently, a couple of them actually, documenting forced labor among some of those children who have been placed with sponsors. But one of the most shocking statistics that was revealed in those stories, that of the 300,000 children who've been placed with sponsors in the United States, not necessarily relatives, could be a parent, could be a distant relative, but could just be a foster home, that in 85,000 of those placements, the 30-day wellness call that is typically made by the administration went unanswered. And so not only does the Biden administration not know where 300,000 children currently reside, what's happening to them, whether they're going to school, whether they're getting health care, whether they're being recruited for gangs, whether they're being trafficked for sex, or just simply neglected or abused, the Biden administration doesn't know. And the truth is they don't care. Because if they did know, they would do something about it. But they refuse to do so, even though, as the New York Times documented, high-level officials like Marty Walsh, the former Secretary of Labor, Susan Rice, former domestic policy advisor, among others, were told about what was going on and yet refused to do anything about it. You know, I've wondered, as a border state senator, what's it going to take to get the attention of the Biden administration to finally do something about the Biden border crisis? Well, obviously 300,000 children, who are in the United States that they don't know what they are or what's happening to them, what their circumstances are. That's not enough to move them. How about 108,000 dead Americans? Dead because they consume some of the drugs that are smuggled across the southwestern border, including 71,000 from fentanyl. I've gone to high schools, I'm sure my colleagues have too, and grieved with the parents and school officials over kids who thought they were taking a Xanax or a Percocet, but in fact were taking a counterfeit pill laced with fentanyl, enough to kill them. I still wear a wrist bracelet from one I got at Carrollton Farmers Branch, where a father gave me a bracelet that commemorates his daughter who lost her own life as a result of the fentanyl poisoning, and it says, "One pill can kill," trying to raise public awareness to this scourge. So if 300,000 lost children won't get the Biden administration attention, how about 108,000 dead Americans? Well, apparently that's not even enough to move them.
President Joe Biden claims that the children of America are all our children. But he's taken that claim a little too far on many occasions, acting very strange in his interactions with kids. Arguably the strangest of Joe Biden's creepy behaviour is his hair sniffing and close proximity to children's faces. Here's just a few of those moments.
Yeah. Let me whisper a secret. Don't tell mommy what I told you.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. He sniffs too many children, that man.
Times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, then rearranges some more. There's nothing pervy here. The VP knows he's on camera at these swearing-in ceremonies, and the parents are right there as he leans in for a kiss.
Joe! Stop eating the children! This may be some of the creepiest creepy Joe behavior I've ever seen, and I watch this stuff for a living. Here the president was giving a talk about conservation actions taken by his administration when he spotted, you know where this is going? A small child with lots of very sniffable hair. Let's have a look. Oh, there he goes. He sees the kid. Yeah, oh, picks her up. Yep. Oh, doesn't look happy. She does not look tremendously happy about this. What is going on here? She's saying, Daddy, can somebody please save me? No! Joe! No! Mr. President, you can't do this. Don't sniff the hair. Don't take the kid with you. This is... Where are we going with this, Mr. President?
Kevin, go down.
Our old mate Swampy Joe, otherwise known as Creepy Joe Biden, had to apologise when he was trying to become the Democratic nominee for kissing too many people on the hair, sniffing their hair, being a bit too awkward all the time. You would have seen this over and over and over again. Very uncomfortable. Thanks very much, Mr. Stay away from me. This was a joke way back when, but then of course he wasn't Donald Trump, so we have to pretend that none of this happened. Well, now it doesn't really matter because he can do whatever he wants, including ruining the American economy, and then guess what happens? They'll still keep cheering him on. Well, guess who's just reverted to being creepy President Joe?
But first to the US, and he's back. Yes, Creepy Joe is back. President Joe Biden went off script this week, and it went all wrong when he made these bizarro comments about a little girl while giving a speech at a military base in Virginia. Now, keep in mind, the little girl he's talking about is primary school aged.
I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what. And look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her like a little lady with her legs crossed.
Ew, what? The little girl is like 8 or 9. Let's not comment on how she crosses her legs and pretend that she looks like she's 19. You can imagine the media meltdown if Trump said anything like that. Oh no, he's done it again.
Now, the very important thing I told my daughter and granddaughters, no serious guys till you're 30. Right?
No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
Don't keep that in mind. At least.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all, is it? Getting into a young girl's personal space and telling her not to have any boyfriends until she's 30. And look at how the alarmed Secret Service dude tries to stop this being taped once he sees that Joe has reverted back to this peculiar behaviour.
And it's not only children who the president is making uncomfortable. Celebrities and other world leaders also can't escape Joe's creepiness.
Of the important new film, Sound of Freedom, about the power of faith in overcoming evil, and in particular, the evil of child trafficking. Big problem. We had it down to the lowest number in many years just 4 years ago, and now it's gone through the roof. Even though the fake news media has tried to ignore it, Sound of Freedom has been a national sensation and a colossal success at the box office, really big numbers. Everyone should see it. This is a very important film and very important movie, and it's a very important documentary all wrapped up in one. It's really about an issue that has to be discussed. Under my leadership, we did more than any administration in history to combat human trafficking and to end modern-day slavery. In one of my first acts in office, I signed an executive order targeting transnational criminal organizations that traffic and exploit innocent people. I signed the Frederick Douglass Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Reauthorization Act, authorizing $430 million to fight sex and labor trafficking. I signed legislation to crack down on foreign countries who are not meeting standards for eliminating trafficking, of which there are many. I also signed into law the Abolish Human Trafficking Act, which strengthened programs supporting survivors and provided more resources for ending modern slavery. We do have modern slavery, if you can believe it. Additionally, I created the first ever White House position focused solely on combating human trafficking. And perhaps most importantly, we created the most secure border in U.S. history by far, dealing a major blow to the cartels and traffickers. We built hundreds of miles of wall. We renovated hundreds of miles of wall. We never had anything like it. And then I got Mexico free of charge to give us 28,000 soldiers to protect us from people coming into our country illegally. When I am back in the White House, I will immediately end the Biden border nightmare that traffickers are using to exploit vulnerable women and children. We will fully secure the border. I will wage war on the cartels just as I destroyed the ISIS caliphate, 100% gone, 100% destroyed. They'll come back now because we have a weak administration. I will use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries and without delay. And I will urge Congress to ensure that anyone caught trafficking children across our border receives the death penalty immediately, and that includes also for women, because women, as you know, are number one in trafficking. Children are actually number two.